This is the noob, and this is going to be a quick tutorial on Serenity3D with RC Basic. So I'm just going to go right into it. The first thing, I already have the assets I'm going to use for this tutorial already prepared, so I have them in a folder right here. And I'm going to make my project in this folder too. So before we do anything else, let's go ahead and just open up Serenity3D, and we're gonna create a new project. I'm just gonna call this SN tutorial, and the location, I'm gonna put it in that folder on the desktop here. And so this will create a new folder for our project inside that folder. Alright, and now that we have our folder created, which I'm going to pull back up now, we need to go ahead and put these assets into the right location in this folder. So I'm going to open this folder up in a new window. At least I thought yeah. So I'm going to open this up in a new window, and inside of here we want to put our 3D models inside, well, which we only have one of this inside of here. And then we want to put our textures in right here inside the textures folder. So the 3D models go inside the models folder, the textures go into the textures folder. And now we can go ahead and close this, and we don't really need to have our project folder open anymore, so we'll go ahead and close that as well. And let's go ahead, and now that we have our project made, go ahead and hit save real quick just to make sure it saves, and then go over to the textures tab, and let's add our two textures. So hit the add texture button, click on both of our textures, load them, and now we can view our textures here. We don't need to do much else, but let's name these textures something that makes them a little bit more identifiable. So change this texture ID to grass underscore texture, and then we'll change this to main care texture. That way it's easier to identify them. Now we're going to go and create materials for these textures. So inside, let's go over to our materials tab. We'll click on new, and the first material is just going to be our ground material. So we'll just call this ground grass material, or you could just call it ground material. It doesn't matter what you call it. And now for this material, we want to turn lighting off for now, so we don't have to worry about lighting. And we'll add a texture. So over here in this texture level panel, click add, and it'll add a texture slot to this material. Select that texture slot and then hit set, and then let's set it to our grass texture and hit set. Now inside of this window here, we can hold down the middle mouse button and rotate it around to see what this preview cube looks like with our texture on it, which it kind of doesn't matter for this. I mean, it's just simple grass texture that's going to be tiled. So now let's go ahead and create another material, and this material is going to be our main care material, and we're going to turn lighting off on this as well. And now let's add a texture slot to this material and select it, and then hit set, and then we'll set it to our main character texture. And that's good for this. There's some adjustments we could make to it later, but I'll go over it later if I remember. So now let's go over to the mesh tab, and let's go ahead and load our mesh and for our main character. So load, and we're gonna load that 3D model that we dragged into that folder earlier, and hit load. and now it loads the mesh for our model, but our model's not textured yet. So let's go ahead and add a texture to our model. So let's go to the material panel and click add, and it'll add a new material slot for that model. And now select that material and hit set, and let's set it to our main character material and hit set, and now our character is textured, but it's not animated yet. So to go over animation, this character is a model that I made in Animator. So I'm going to open up Animator and show the animation frames, just so you can get an idea of what I'm setting for the animation. So let me open up Animator. And I'm using Animator for this, but you can use any 3D animation software you want. You know, it's just, if you're going to be using Blender, you're going to need to export as a B3D, and if you're using like Maverick Model 3D, which I also have on this computer, you're going to want to export to like MM3D format. And there's a few other formats supported like .x, but I don't really use those, so I don't really know how good those formats would be. So let's go ahead and open, and I'm gonna open up that model. So my desktop, tutorial, video, and here's this model. And I have this model loaded now. So I've already rigged and animated this model already. So I'm going to go over to scene, and I'll show these animations real quick, and then I'm going to show how these animations will work as far as like using them inside of Serenity. So let me first go and to grid, and I'm gonna like hide the grid. Oh, well, I meant to hide the environment, I guess. So view, where is it? Like, I think it's preferences. You know, it's a option that I can't seem to find in the menu when I need to find it. So I might just let me look a little bit more, because I feel like I should know where this is. Element attribute properties. Build, view, preferences. You know what? Yeah, forget it. So I'm just going to go to view left, because this is the best way to demonstrate it anyway. So from the left point of view, we can see how this animation looks, and I'm going to bring up the animation screen down here, and I have all of these, like so down here I have all of these keyframes for different parts of the animation, and the whole animation is only like, I think, 33 frames total. Yeah, no, 34. So frame 0 is going to be my standing still animation, and then frame 1 through 33, which I know I didn't demonstrate that, but down here at the bottom in Animator, the very bottom of the window, it shows the frame number. So frame 0 is the standing still animation, and then frame 1 through 33 is the total walk animation. which is all we need. We need to know those numbers so we can add the animations. So now that we've seen that, I can close this, and I'm going to create a new animation. And the first animation is just going to be my idle animation, so I'm just going to call it idle, and it's going to start and end at frame 0. And since it's only one frame long, the speed doesn't matter. So that's our standing still animation, and if we play it, nothing should happen. It should just be standing still. So now we're going to add another new animation, and this animation is going to be our walk. It's going to be walk/run, but I'm just going to call it walk. And this animation, it starts at frame 1 and it'll end at frame 33 like we showed earlier. And then for speed, I think a good speed for this animation is probably going to be like 30 frames a second. So now let's play that. And you know what? I'm going to make it a little bit faster. So let's go up to like maybe 45. Yeah. And you also see a mistake I made right here on the right hand. I can fix that in Animator just by opening it back up, and like I think the influence on that bone isn't wide enough. But I might fix it before I upload this project to GitHub. But for now, it's good. So let's go ahead and hit save real quick. Save everything we have so far. And let's go over to stage and start working on setting up our scene. So on the right hand side under projects right here, click this giant green button to add a new stage. And let's call our stage stage 1 and create. And now we have a new stage right here. Double click this stage and it should be like this stage name should turn bold. That means it's selected. Now that the stage is selected, let's go over here on the left side and click on this person icon. It's add an animated actor. So we want to add an animated actor for our main character, which is Mesh ID 0. We could have changed the name of it in the Mesh tab, but it's not there. I mean, for the purpose of this, we'll just leave it like it is. So we'll call our actor ID. Actor ID. Anywhere you see ID, there cannot be spaces in the name. The name has to basically be like a valid RC basic variable. So we'll just call it main care, and then create. So now we have our actor inside of our scene, and we're going to go up to right here where it says view. Right now it's on the front view, and we're just going to select all. So it'll show us all 4 views: front view, right view, top view, and then perspective. And now we want to set the position of our actor to like 0, 0, 0. So with our actor selected, which our actor is selected right now, and you can if you have multiple actors in your scene, you can switch between them by selecting them either from this hierarchy view right here, or you can hit this select button or the box select and select it inside the scene. But we have it selected here, so let's go ahead and just change the position to 0, 0, and 0. And now to move around the scene in perspective view, you would hold down the middle mouse button and then use the WASD keys to move around. And you can use, while the middle mouse button's hold, you can move the mouse around to like move around as well. And you could also move your view on front, right, or top views just by holding the middle mouse button on one of those windows, and then you can just drag the view around like that. Now this at 0, 0, 0, the mesh is centered so that it's that the middle of it is going through the ground. So we want to raise it up so that it's above the ground. So we're gonna raise it up to I guess right there. And we'll have a better idea of where, like, how much we should raise it to once we which this is also really big for the scene we're pitting it in. So let's scale this down a little bit too. I think like so over here with the actor selected, let's go over into scale, and we'll scale this down to like 0.25, and we'll go 0.25 in each axis. Oops, 0.25, and then 0.25. There we go. So now we've scaled it down. It's a lot smaller now. And now, because it's a lot smaller, it's floating a lot higher off the ground. Let's drag it down a little bit, put it a little closer to the ground. Now let's make a plane for our ground. So before I do that, I'm going to hit save. And let's go back to mesh. And instead of loading a mesh this time, we're going to create a new one. And by default, it's on plane, so which is what we want. We want to make a plane. So let's make a large plane, and to get an example of the size of the plane, I'm going to explain how this grid like works as it is right now. So let's go over, and on this right side, click on the settings tab, and the top panel is grid settings. The size is the total size the grid is right now, but this spacing size is how big each square in this grid is. So since each square in this grid is 100, we can get an idea of how big of a plane we want to make. We want probably each tile in the plane to be 100 by 100, so it's the size of the grid. So we're going to go back over to mesh, hit new, and we want our tile width to be 100, our tile height to be 100, and X count and Y count is how many tiles the grid has in it. So we'll set that to I mean, maybe it doesn't even need to be. We'll make it 100 though. So we'll make that 100, 100, and texture repeat X and texture repeat Y is how I mean it basically determines how it's going to be UV mapped, how many how big each individual polygon before the texture repeats on the grid is. So we'll set that to 100 and 100 as well, and we'll call our mesh ID for our plane plane, I guess. Well, plane underscore mesh, and then hit create. And when we select our plane, we're not gonna see it on here because the plane is flat. But we do have a plane now. We have a material for our plane already. So for our plane, let's go back over here. We're in stage 1, and this time let's select this octree. So we it's the one below the stage icon below the animated actor icon. We're gonna select that, and let's select the plane mesh, and we'll call this plane. Well, ground plane. So, and then hit create. And our ground plane we want to set at 0, 0, 0 over here as well. So 0, 0, and 0. So before we do anything else, let's go ahead and add a texture to our ground plane. So with our ground plane selected, let's scroll down in the properties window to under render properties, material, and let's set the material to the ground grass material we made earlier. So now we have this really large ground grass plane, and we don't really need the actual grid anymore. So we go to just hide the grid, and we don't even really need the other views anymore, so let's just go straight into perspective, and then hold the middle mouse button and just try to get to where you can get a good view of the whole actor. And let's select the actor, because right now our ground plane is still selected, and select the actor, and let's move it down to where it's closer to the ground. Yeah, that's about good. So and now I think we also have a good view to maybe view it from. So yeah, I guess, yeah, this is probably a good view to view the actor from when we get in our code. So let's go ahead and save this, and then we're going to hit this build icon right here on the toolbar, and we'll get this pop-up saying it updated our RC Basic Studio project and stuff with it. So hit OK. And now, before we go into our RC Basic Studio project, we want to, when we start the game in RC Basic, let's start it with this view that we're viewing it at right now. So hit this camera icon right here, and it gives us the current position and rotation the camera is set to. So I'm just gonna go ahead and record those. Just so I have them for when we get into the code part. So negative, and I'm just gonna round this, negative 165, 199 and 224. That's gonna be position, and then rotation is gonna be 32, 134, and 0. So now we have our where we're gonna set our camera to already set. We can go ahead and close that here, and now we're basically done with Serenity for now. So I won't close it, but I'm gonna minimize it. And now let's open RC Basic Studio. We're gonna go and open the RC Basic Studio project inside of our tutorial folder. So here, and here is our RC Basic Studio project. Now right now this is the template for the project, so if we tried to play this, it should build, but we will have basically a blank screen. And it's because if we scroll down in the template, we have this part right here where it's doing the load stage, but it's expecting us to put our stage name here. And our stage name right now is this, stage 1. So let's put stage 1 in there and hit play. And now we're inside of our scene, but we're at our default position in our scene. So let's set our camera, change where our camera is by changing these values here for set camera position and rotation. So we're just going to let me put this somewhere where I can see it, and camera is going to be at negative 165, 199 and 224, and the rotation is going to be at 32, 134, and 0. And now let's hit play with that. And we're looking at it at the same view we were looking at it in Serenity now. And so now that we have that, the next thing we want to do is get a reference to our actor so that we can do stuff with it. So to start getting the reference to your actor, you need to do this after the stage is loaded, because until the stage is loaded, the actor doesn't exist. So we're going to go to after our stage is loaded, and we're going to have to first get an index that Serenity uses to identify the actor. So that would be, we'll just call this main char SN index, and that is to get that we'll use Serenity get actor index. Anywhere you see index in Serenity or the Nirvana API, it's just internal index basically inside of an array in Serenity or Nirvana that they're using to store the reference to these to the actors or whatever you're trying to get. So to get this index, we need to put in the name of our actor, which in this case is main underscore char. So main underscore char. And now to get our actor ID that RC Basic uses to reference the actor, we could just do main char equals Serenity get actor ID, and we'll pass in the index that we just got, and that'll get us our actor ID. And so now that we have our actor ID, we're I'm not even gonna make it move. I'm just going to make it play an animation when the space bar is pressed. So let's just, inside of our main while loop, do if key k underscore space, then oops, and end if. So, and like to set the animation is just a set actor animation function in RC Basic. So set actor animation. And actually before that, we need to get the get the animation we want to play. So let's go back into Serenity and just go over to Mesh for a second. We have two animations, idle and walk. So let me pull up the Serenity documentation because I need to reference this myself. And scroll here down to Serenity, scroll down to Serenity3D API, and let's go over to actors and look for animation. Oh. Which should have been there. So meshes. Oh yeah, so meshes, and then let's look for animation here. Here we go. So we want to get the mesh animation, not the animation count, but the animation ID, which we need to get the animation index first for. Oh. We need to get the mesh animation name. This documentation is actually outdated because it doesn't have the function that I need, which is this. So the idle, we'll play the walk animation is Serenity get mesh animation ID, and the ID we're getting is the mesh index and then the animation number. So the mesh index is, which I'll just pass it in here, Serenity get mesh index, and we want this, the mesh name. So our mesh name in this case is this mesh underscore ID 0 unless you changed it. And the animation number is 1. Yeah. Alright, so now we can do set actor animation, and our actor is main care, and our animation is walk animation. Alright, so now if all goes well, we should be able to hit play, and we'll hit spacebar and the animation will play. Oh wait, set actor. I need to add the number of loops in animation, so -1 for infinite loop. And now let's hit spacebar. Oops. Alright. So actually, you know what? For now, it is just animation 1. So let's do that. Print walk animation. Oh yeah. And the reason this happened, and it's the reason why you want to go through the Serenity animation functions probably, but by default in RC Basic, there's always an animation set, and that would be the idle animation, and then I added an idle animation which would have been animation 1, and then the walk animation would have been animation 2. But that aside, that is the Serenity tutorial complete. I'll try to get that documentation on the API updated, but yeah, this is you know, that's Serenity in action, and then you can move around, check out the scene and stuff. We got our basically a really large plane. And even if you can't find an API, if you go into this Serenity.bas file and you scroll down past the load functions, here is the API all right here and stuff. So you can look at all the functions, and it's like, go to symbols and you can see a list of all the Serenity functions available to you here, and you can check out all the code inside of them and stuff too. So yeah, and it's evolving, so there's gonna be more stuff added. But yeah, that's the API. And in the future, I'm also planning on expanding that a little bit more as I add more features to Serenity itself. But that's it for this tutorial. I was trying to keep it as short as possible. Hopefully it didn't go on too long. And post a comment if you in the video if you have a question, or visit the forum, or visit the itch.io page, or the Discord. There's all kinds of ways to reach me if you have feedback or questions. And I'll see you in the next video.